Hello and welcome to another episode of DyerTimes. I'm your host, David Dyer, and today we find ourselves once again in upstate New York at Primitive Pursuits in Ithaca. Now, Primitive Pursuits is putting on another really amazing program. It's called the Wilderness Apprenticeship Program, which is actually 1 week in a month for the next 7 months. And what we're going to do is follow them and follow those classes each month, releasing a little bit about each of those weekends. So this weekend is primitive bow making, which we're about to go take part of. Now, it looks like it's about to rain, so I'm dressed down and ready to work. So let's get under the barn and catch up with an old friend, Justin Sutera. And you actually met him at the Buckskin Weekend Workshop video, which you can check out right there. But he is one of the Primitive Pursuits, Primitive Skills instructors. So why are we here this weekend?
We're here this weekend to make bows.
I like bows.
Start to finish, we went out and harvested a tree on Friday.
Excellent.
We're going to have shooting longbows by Sunday afternoon.
That's amazing. Now, this is one you made yourself?
Yep, this is one I made myself. I just finished it, and one I'll probably be hunting with this year as well.
That's excellent.
And not just, so a lot of people make bows, and I used to make bows for a while, and not just making something that bends and fires an arrow, but something that actually is, functional art, something that performs like a modern bow. Not a compound bow,
of course,
that can actually stand against the traditional bow.
So then how is this different from a modern bow?
So these are self bows we're making.
Okay.
They are one piece of wood. There's no lamination, there's no fiberglass. It's literally one entire piece of wood that makes the bow. And it's pretty incredible that the wood can do that it can bend in that way and fire an arrow that way.
That is amazing. So tell me a little bit about the process as far as taking this from a chunk of wood and turning it into that.
So the first part is tree selection, which we covered on Friday, where we always want to leave the forest healthier. So we went out and we discussed what the impact would be of taking certain trees, species of locations. So here we've got several different pieces of wood in the bow making process. This is a stave that we talked about, where it's a triangular split out of wood. This is white ash, and it's been stored with the bark on and seasoned, and this could be made into a bow at any time now. But this is what it looks like from the start when we go harvest a tree and take this from it. This is another example of a bow stave, except this one is a wood called black locust, and it has heartwood and sapwood. You can see the distinction between the yellow inner wood and the white outer wood. And to make the best bow possible out of this, you need to get down to one growth ring of heartwood. So it's kind of tricky because we need to carve through. So this is an example of black locust that's being chased for a growth ring. So you can see how the growth rings show up. And right now, this is the low growth ring on there. And if you make one mistake, you gotta go down to the next ring. So this ring has to be carried all the way through to establish the back of the bow. Because the back of the bow when you shoot is under tension, and the grain of the wood through the strings in that growth ring will give it the strength. So once we have a back of the bow established, we can start shaping it into a bow blank. And that's what this is right here, where you can see a tremendous amount of mass has been lost from it. But this right here still has a 60-pound bow in it. It's still just a big chunk of wood, but this piece of wood here has the potential to be a really nice hunting bow. And then from this, to turn it into a finished bow, like this per se, there's not too much wood we need to move. So we need to do it very intentionally, because one mistake, one slip of the hatchet, and you can turn your 60-pound hunting bow into a 10-pound kid's toy. So from this bow bow blank to the bow is a lot of care and making sure it's even, making sure it bends evenly, and yeah, really making it well. And then the magic happens tomorrow when we start bending them and making sure that they bend evenly, that the tiller is correct, and that's when it really, the rubber meets the road.
I was going to say, the tiller is how springy.
Yeah, so the tiller, so now this bow is strong, and the tiller is how evenly it bends on either side, and it's all connected. Okay. So if this is a weak spot here, it's going to be too strong over here. And by weakening it up here, it's going to make this stronger here. So basically making it so we can, it's a lot to ask of it to bend it that much, so it has to all work together, all work evenly, and yeah, it takes a lot of good eyes on it to make sure you're bending it the right way, especially with undulations in the wood, which you get with this type of wood, which is Osage orange.
And that really, to me, that kind of adds to the natural beauty. I mean, I don't know if you can see this, but there's actually a knot here, and it's a hole completely through this bow, and that doesn't hurt it or weaken it in any way.
I was mindful around it. I left it a little bit higher there with the grain, but as long as you follow the grain, you can do just about anything.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So now with this process, we're using modern tools. Now we're not really using any kind of really elaborate modern tools. A draw knife, a hatchet, and a small carving knife.
Yep.
It's pretty much
and a
everything.
rasp.
Oh, and of course, a rasp.
Yep.
So how would that then compare to the primitive tools and how it would have been done, by Native Americans or by indigenous or early man?
Here we've got some examples of stone tools, and not just artifacts or replicas, but actual stone tools that I'm using to shape this piece of wood into a bow. And the big learning for me was it's different than just flint knapping really nice arrowheads. Actually using a stone tool, you're looking for different qualities. So what you're looking for are a very stout bevel. So see how that gets a lot of mass behind it quickly? That allows it to be a really strong edge and allows it to be a really good scraper. And you can scrape wood really nicely without that edge crumbling. Or even a 90-degree edge makes a great scraper. And a big chunk of rock like this with a stout edge, that's like my draw knife on this, and I can shave off good wood. And I've been doing a lot of mass reduction with this, which is a greenstone hatchet. And this was shaped by pecking and grinding, all done primitively. So yeah, the stone tools, they work. And that's why we're here today, is because the stone tools work. It's pretty cool. But they definitely go a lot slower. It's a different process than using the steel tools. Because if I had to use stone tools, I wouldn't harvest a tree this big.
Oh, of course not.
I'd harvest a tree, this big, and chop a bow out of it with a stone axe. And the principles are all the same, how the wood works, how it bends, but it definitely would look different because working with stone tools, your ability to move wood is way less than these steel tools.
Now, but I did see you over kind of working with some obsidian and a couple other things, kind of scraping out a bow.
Yeah, if you have an understanding of what the stone tools are like, which is going to be our third weekend here.
Oh, excellent.
You can really move wood pretty well with them. It's pretty amazing. The right kind of bevel on the angle, rather than such a steep angle, which is really, really sharp, but it'll crumble easily. A stouter bevel, you can carve wood. Osage, one of the hardest woods in North America, you can carve that with a stone knife. Yeah.
So now you had mentioned, next weekend and whatnot. This bow making workshop is part of a series called the Wilderness Apprenticeship Program, which they'll be putting on over the next, 7 months?
7 months, 1 3-day weekend a month.
So tell me a little bit more about what people can expect from that.
Yeah, so the intention is to really, each weekend, delve into a specific skill. And we have Fridays together as a group where we can have that continuity through 7 months and talk about last month's skill and really connect together. And then the Saturday and Sunday will be, it can stand on its own and members of the public can come if they want to take whatever that specific weekend is. But it'll be to really dive into those skills, like this weekend bow making, getting as deep into it as you can.
Sure.
And then the next one, arrow making, primitive instinctive shooting, and primitive adhesives.
So really kind of that next level. And this was kind of built on, as I understand it, was built on the Wilderness Skills Instructor Program, which is held, there's two, I guess, an early track and a late track.
Yeah.
And we actually did a video on that as well, and you can check that out right here if you want to look at that. So it's not exclusive to the people that graduate this course. Like you were saying, it kind of adds to it, but it is a really pretty in-depth look at a lot more of these skills. And I have a lot of friends of mine that make fun of me for getting excited about primitive adhesives. I think it's cool, so I'm excited to be up here and really check out these processes, and it's all going to be part of the mini-series that is the instructor, or the apprenticeship program.
Yeah.
So it's going to be pretty cool to follow us through pretty much all the seasons. Although I don't know if you've noticed, but they pretty much have one season in Ithaca, and that's rain. Which I was going to say, it's going to get exciting because in a couple months, it's less than that probably. It's going to be snow, so you'll have that to enjoy as well. But Justin, really appreciate you, showing me a little bit of the process and talking to us a little bit today. And I look forward to catching up with you at the next weekend. We've had an absolute blast out here this weekend at Primitive Pursuits. Now, this was the bow making workshop, and as you saw, we had a great time, and I'm really looking forward to taking my bow home, doing some shooting, maybe even some hunting with it. But if you'd like to check out a little bit more of what Primitive Pursuits has to offer, next month we'll be doing the arrow making, instinctive shooting, and primitive adhesives, which there'll be a video on that as well. But if you can't wait until then, definitely check out the Wilderness Instructor Skills program here, the Buckskin Weekend Workshop right here, or one of the DyerTimes exclusives on the More I Light My Fire Blade right here, which all pretty excellent. Definitely check them out and get involved. Now, if you'd like to see a little bit more of the Dyer Outdoor world, you can follow us on Instagram at Dyer Primitive, or on Facebook /Dyer Outdoor, or even our podcast, which is on DyerOutdoor.com as well. To include, we have a blog by Amanda Litton, which is the Huntress in Heels. She writes every week and has a great blog there as well. So definitely check us out. This was DyerTimes. I'm your host, David Dyer, and thanks for watching.
Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.